Today we're going to be putting this debate to the test. Is using loops in beat making actually creative or just lazy producing? Some say using loops is cheating and it doesn't make you a real producer, but if you're anything like myself, I believe there's art form in anything that you do. So I'm going to show you how I go about using loops in the MPC 3.0. This is no more of the beta, and I'm going to just show you how I go from like chopping, arranging, time stretching, and just really creating something unique to you. And this is just going to help you level up your sampling workflow overall. So if that sounds good to you, let's just get right into it. All right, so the first thing I want to do is load up a drum break, and you can easily do this by double tapping menu to get to the browser, or you can hold down shift and menu, and that's another shortcut to get to the browser menu. And then we could just flip through. I actually like this one. It kind of reminds me of the Empire State of Mind with Alicia Keys and Jay-Z. So next you just want to hit a pad and make sure it's highlighted green, because that's where you're going to load your sample onto that pad. We can just press load, and then if we go back to the main screen and we hit the first pad, you can see it plays from there. Now what I like to do most of the time is always check if my sample is looping correctly, and you could just do shift and mute. Shift and mute brings you to sample edit mode, where you're going to do like your chopping and stretching and pitching and stuff like that. So then I like to hit pad 16, because pad 16 is going to loop the sample. So we're going to hit pad 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1. So then you know you have a nice looping sample. Now the thing that is new on MPC 3.0 is that they have an algorithm for warping. So let's just go back to the main screen, and I have my track edit right here. Now if you don't have yours right here, all you have to do is just go to menu, just find this icon, and it also says track edit at the bottom. So I'm just going to go to track edit, go to sample. Now you can see that there's an algorithm section right here, and if we hit warp, let's just record in that first initial hit. Wow, that sounds terrible, right? So there's a couple of things of how you're gonna fix this, and this is like an easy fix. You ain't gotta get all crazy and be like, oh, MPC this, MPC that. A lot of you guys like to complain very quickly, but I'm not saying this to attack you, but I wanna say, like, always keep in mind that the MPC is an old computer. You're gonna have to use your brain more. And that's an actual good thing, because in the world of AI and the future that we're heading to, I feel like we're gonna be using our brains less, and that is not the best for human nature. So off the bat, let's see why it's sounding bad. For one, if we go to main, we can see the tempo is set to 70. And if we go back to track edit, we can see the original tempo of the sample is 179.91. Now, anytime it's like 0.91 and stuff, just round it. It's really just 180. But on the MPC versus on a DAW, you're gonna have to really tell it what to do. If I was to stretch this in a DAW, it would do kind of like the stretching for me. Versus on the MPC, to stretch it from 179 all the way down to 70, of course it's going to sound terrible. So what you have to do is make sure when you're stretching your sample, make sure it's in the range of the BPM that you want. And the way that you would do that is understanding that, okay, if this is 180, let me do half that to bring it closer to the range that the project is in. So for instance, this is in 70 BPM right now. So all I got to do is just go in here and just type in 90. Now let's hear how that sounds. Sounds a bit better, but not the best. So the next thing that they added was repitch, which is just brilliant, because now listen to how it sounds. That sounds a lot better. But me personally, I don't want it to be at 70 BPM. I kind of just want to bring it up, and just to show you that if you had it at 90, that it goes back to how it originally sounds. For me, I just want to go to 88. This is better now, like, because the workflow before was that you probably would mess with the tune just to see if you want to hear it slow or sped up with the different pitch change. And that's what repitch is. It's really just like tune. But the difference with repitch is that you can have it in the tempo that you want it. That makes that workflow a lot easier. Now, the only thing, if you wanted to chop this up and keep that repitch, then you will probably want to have done it through sample edit mode and go to process and do time stretch and do it this way. so that you can have that sample already with that new tempo that you wanted and chop it from there. And I'll explain that a bit later. But for this instance, I'm not trying to chop it up. If anything, I could just double tap it like, because I really like how the loop is playing. So let's just do something like that. All right, I messed up at the end. All you have to do is go to this grid view icon and, you know, just bring it over. So I just selected that tool right here, which is the select tool, and then make sure it's on nudge, and then you can just move it over. And I'm gonna just move this one over as well and move this one over. Now, if you listen closely, you can hear a click noise at the end of these chops. So there's a little click. Now that click is coming from, I guess there's like another kick that comes right in, and it didn't really cut it off properly. So the way I would go about this to take out that transient is just to go to main, go to track edit, go to global this time. I want to switch from one shot to note on. And what note on does is that I can hold it down and let go at any time I want. And it will stop. Anytime you have a sample and you want to cut out a certain part, you can just put it on note on, and we could go back to grid view, stretch these one out, because if we just play, it's only going to play that first initial hit. See? Go to edit end, bring this end all the way, and then we're just going to go right here, bring that end over, and then let me just zoom in a bit, and then bring this end over. But I just want to stop right here, but that might be too much being cut off, so I want to go to TC, go to like 132 note, get a little bit closer, and edit the end. And we could play from here. That's a bit better than having that click noise. Now, it does have that little like abrupt pause, but that's not gonna matter that much because we're gonna add like the bass and the sounds and everything like that. Now, the only time it would matter is that if I don't have any of those sounds playing and just the drums, but I don't plan on doing that. So you don't always have to get everything to be perfect. Now let's move on to our melody loop. All right, so I found a melody loop, and if you want to follow along with this video, I actually started a membership on Buy Me a Coffee, which is the site where I sell my MPC ebooks, and you can go check that out as well. But on this membership, I'm gonna just start giving you guys like the project files so that you can watch tutorial and really practice with me, because that's the only way you're gonna learn fast. If you can see what I'm doing and follow along with action. Action is what makes it stay in your head. So here's the loop. All right, so the melody is quite repetitive, but the bass notes are changing, and I like that, especially when it gets to like right here, it sounds a bit darker. Like that shit sound crazy versus like the beginning is like a bit more brighter. Like, so I just want the darker feel to that. And notice how the loop is saying 140, and you know, it says 140 right here. But like I said, we want to work within the range of our project, which is 88 right now. So we're going to actually just divide it by 2, 705. But, you know, just to keep it more accurate, let's just put 70. Now, since we only did the drums, I can use a different key since there's no key right now. If I'm going to do that, then I might as well go to track edit and go to repitch. So I'm gonna go to warp, and then I'm gonna go to repitch, and let's just record it in. Just to see how it sounds, and I think I played it off beat. I don't know what's going on, bro. But let's go back to main, track edit, and I'm gonna just start my piece like over here. Now you can hear it clicking. You can use these cue links and click on the start parts and mess around with that. All right, I just really want that one bar. Then I actually want a second half. I don't want to just have that just repeating because that would just be boring. So I can hit pad 2 and bring it up again. Remember, go to warp, and we're gonna go to repitch and change this to 70 BPM. Now you may be thinking in your head, like, why is it playing like that from this one? Why is it not playing the same? And you can see right here, the key has been changed. So somehow the MPC would do weird stuff like this. Like you would just think that, oh, it should have just made sense that we copied over the same sample and it should have had the same, you know, sound, but it didn't. So in this case, what I'm gonna do is actually go here, delete it, go to sample mute. And this is just a workaround that I found, is that anytime you want to like copy the same kind of sample and do something else with the other sample, you probably want to just go to the first sample, cut out the words, you know, at least the beginning. Now that we have this, I could go back to the browse menu, look for that sample again, and then I could load it. Because if you don't change the name, it's going to act weird for some reason. This is why I say you're going to have to use your brain on the MPC. This is just a workaround that I just came across. Nobody told me. I just used my head. Now, if I go to track edit, put it on work, repitch, make sure this is on 70 BPM. Sound the same now. Sometimes you're just going to have to find your way, yo. Nothing wrong with that. We're going to just pull this to like, I want like this part. Let's just record that in. Now you can hear that overlapping going on, but if you remember what we did with the kick to cut off the duration, that's the same method we're going to use. So we go to global, go to note on, so that we can control the duration. Put that one is on note on as well. And then go to our grid view. Make sure, you know, everything is on the grid. And then we can just highlight it. Now we got to stretch out the end to match the project. All right, so now we have our melody, and now I just want to bring in the bass just to glue the beat together. And it sounds like this. So here's the thing to notice right off the back. This bass is in F minor, and the beat is actually in F minor after it's been repitched. Like, this is just a sample that I found within the key. And I just wanted to make this video more focused on that part instead of all the extra details. So that part I left out. This BPM is actually 126, but it says 68. And I know it's not 68, so I'm just gonna do 63, because remember, we're doing half the tempo in this project. So half of 126 is, I hope you guys notice, 63. Now, I'm gonna go to process, because you didn't change the tempo, you just changed how it's being read on the MPC. So to change the actual tempo, you're gonna go to process and you're gonna go to time stretch. Now, honestly, you didn't even have to change it right here, and I'm gonna show you why. Because when you go to process and time stretch, there's two things you need to notice right off the back. It's saying 8 beats, and the original tempo is saying 31.50. And we all know that's not, it can't be that, you feel me? If we think about it, this is in the 4/4 time signature, meaning that there's 4 beats in a bar. It's showing us 8 beats. So the question is, how many beats are in 2 bars? And if you know how to count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 8 beats. So, like I said, yeah, you're gonna have to use your head, and you should be proud to. You feel me? It should be an honor. in this world of like everybody's just like losing their minds, bro. And this is why I think creativity is stagnant. Creativity is not stagnant because of loops and samples. It's stagnant because we're not being creative enough in the sense of using our brain. So off the bat, just looking at it, if we know that this loop is definitely not a 2-bar loop and it's probably a 4-bar loop, what are we gonna do? To get to 4 bars, how many beats are in 4 bars? Well, there are 4 beats in 1 bar. So if I do 4 times 4, then that means 16. So 16 beats. And off the back, you see 63. It's magic, bro. I'm just, you know, I'm not trying to like make fun of you guys or anything, but you know, I want you guys to really start using your head and complain less. Or not complain at all, really. Since now we have that, I could go to the new tempo and put in 88. Press do it. Boom. So now I could just record this in. So yeah, we're in the right key, but I don't like that the bass is like moving fast. Like the progression of the bass is going like dun 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 dun. Like it's going too fast. I actually want it to be stretched out to sound slower. So how are we gonna do that? Well, simple. We could go back to our sample edit mode. Off the bat, you should be thinking like, okay, if we're at 88 BPM, how could I make this slower? By doing half that. Go to process. It shows we're at 88 now because we changed it. So what's half of 88? I hope you guys know. 44 though. And so we're at 44. And let's press do it. Now, before I press do it, I want you guys to understand, if this is not making any sense right now, sometimes you just need to rewind and listen to what I said or watch what I just did. Some of you guys will go in the comments too fast and it's like, bro, like chill, like rewind it if you feel like you missed something, because most of the time I think a lot of producers just watch tutorials as this entertainment instead of like a actual class and like you're learning. And there's a difference, because if you're watching it as entertainment, you know, a lot of things are happening and you're just looking, you're not even observing. But when you're coming in with the attention to learn, then you're going to be like, okay, that didn't make sense. That means I need to rewind. This is what I do when I watch other people's tutorials. If I feel like, damn, I still don't get it, I rewind it. And once I rewind it, then I realize what I missed, because sometimes our brain could just linger, especially if somebody's talking to us or our phone ring. A lot of things could take us out of flow state. So now this is how it sounds. So now you hear that it's more stretched out. Now, like I said, if it didn't make sense and you rewind it and you still don't get it, now here's the next step. Book a one-on-one with me, bro. Because most of the time, when it comes down to you still not getting it, maybe you just need that one-on-one to answer your personal questions. And that's why I like to do the one-on-ones, because I know that is real value in that, because I can help you on something that you're stuck at. And it could be something as simple as like, you just had to press this button or think about it in this way, and then now you could just go off in the race, you feel me? So if you're looking for something like that, hit me up on Instagram at jfreshman, and let's get back to the video. So now I'm just gonna pull this back and let's re-record this in. So now I just want to add in another melody to add a bit more vibe to it. So I found this melody. Let's go to track edit, sample, and warp. Now, this time we're not gonna go to repitch, because like I said, we're not trying to change the key. And this loop is actually in F minor as well. So all we're gonna do is just, you know, change the tempo, because it says 140, so this should be at 70. And default Pro 10 and Pro 10, they keep the same pitch. So let's just record that in. It could be just that simple. Now I just want to add in like one more thing, like a Vox, man. You can't ever really go wrong with a Vox. A Vox just always brings stuff together, at least to me. Like, you probably don't like these vocal chops that you hear in some of these beats, but I really do like those kind of vibes. So I found this chop. And something like this, I don't have to change the tempo or anything. And as you can see, it still says F minor, which is the key of this whole beat. So all I'm gonna do is just record that in. Now, off the back, I'm already hearing that I want to hear an octave lower on the second half. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to go to sample, edit, mute. And I'm going to edit the top part again. Double tap menu, go to pad 2. And this vocal chop, I think it's called like Cavern. and just load it again. And then now I'm gonna go to process and go to pitch shift. Because the thing is, I wanna keep the tempo that is already at, you know? And the only way you could keep the tempo and change the pitch is going through process and doing pitch shift. So I'm gonna go down an octave, and to go down an octave, it's always gonna be 12 because that's how many notes are in between each octave, and then press do it. So then I have this, and I have this. So I'm just gonna press overdub since I already recorded the first part. All right, so let's just like level this out a bit because it's sounding crazy right now. And I'm just going to go to volume and just kind of turn these down. Now, look how I just turned these down. I did it individually. Now, there's a faster way, actually. Let's just go back up, hold down shift, select the tracks. And then we could just bring them all down at once. All right, so the main takeaway of this video, is there art in using loops or is it lazy producing? Well, I'll leave that up to you, man. Me personally, like I said in the beginning, is like, you can still be creative, man. Like, I could add in so many different loops and samples and just put them together and make it sound very unique, and you wouldn't even know. And even if you did know that, oh, these are this kind of like samples put together, I promise you the listeners don't care, bro. They want to focus on good music. They want to hear good music. And I want to focus on good music. What do you care more about, the vibe or the creation of the vibe? A lot of you guys is really on that spectrum of, you know, you care so much about how the vibe is created versus how the vibe is. And I'm an artist, so for me, it clicks a lot faster than if you were just a producer, because you don't understand like the environment of an artist. I done big shows. I'm doing shows out here in Thailand, so I understand like how people are vibing, how people are listening to music. And when you tap into that kind of world, bro, then you really let go of the ego of trying to do everything from scratch or for yourself. So take it as a grain of salt. You ain't gotta listen to me, bro. But at the same time, if you haven't been in the shoes of an artist, then it is what it is. So until next time, you guys, much love, peace.